Hello, in this video I'm going to be going over complementary counting, which is a way to calculate the probability of something happening. Well, look at that. We're asked, what is complementary counting? Of course, it had a question mark, you just didn't see it. So complementary counting, it's when we take 1 minus the probability that we don't want. So we take, let's say it says, what's the probability that there are two options that it could occur. This option or this option. And it asks, what's the probability that this option occurs? Well, one way you could do it is by actually figuring out the probability that that way occurs. You do good outcomes over total outcomes, a number of different methods. Another way that you could do it is, since there are only two options, you could do 1 minus the probability that this will happen, because the probability that this will happen plus the probability this one will happen has to equal 100% of the time. So 1 minus this probability will give you this probability. So that's what we do over here, and it's most helpful when you have to figure out stuff like at least one happens, meaning like it could be like 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it saves a lot of time on casework. So let's go over two examples. The chance of rain for each of the next 5 days is 25%. Let's write that as 1/4. What is the probability that it will rain at least once in the next 5 days? So we could do the probability that it will rain once in the next 5 days, plus the probability that it will rain twice in the next 5 days, plus the probability that it will rain 3 times in the next 5 days, plus the probability that it will rain 4 times in the next 5 days, plus the probability that it will rain 5 times in 5 days. Or we could do 1 minus the probability that it won't rain. Since we only have 6 different options, it will rain 0 times. Here I'll say like number of times it will rain. We could have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If it's asking us to compute this probability over here, and we know that 0 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals 1, because that's a given, basically, since we assume that it could only rain once in each day. Or we don't even need to assume that. So then if we need to find the probability for this, we could do 1 minus the probability that it will rain 0 times equals the probability that it will rain once, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times, because you can move over to that side and turn to a negative. So in this case, I'll just work over there. So if we have a 1/4 chance that it will rain, that means that there's a 3/4 chance that it won't rain. So I'll say chance it won't rain on any given day. And so we're going to find out 1 minus probability that it won't rain. And so on all of those 5 days. So it'll be 3/4 for every day. So it'll be 3/4 to the 5th. And that right there is going to be your answer. Now we need to move on to the next problem. And so this technique can be very powerful and save a lot of time and get rid of any reckless mistakes that you might make by going too fast. I'll use a different color, I'm feeling it. 3 coins are flipped. What is the probability of flipping at least 1 heads and at least 1 tails? Now this one is very useful to have complementary counting, and that other one you could have done the other way. This one is much harder to do finding normal probability, because you need to like multiply by like if you're double counting and which one's which coin's which and all that. So if we do 1 minus the probability that if you need to have at least one heads and at least one tails, so the opposite of that would be no heads plus no tails. So probability of it being only heads plus the probability of it being only tails, because these are the only 3 combinations where you don't have one head and one tails, because you only have all 3 of the other of one and none of the other. So this is what we need to calculate. Oh, whoops. So the probability of rolling all heads, so that would be, you have each time that you flip a coin, you have 1/2 of a time, 1/2 probability that it'll land on any specified side. And if you don't believe me, you could go check out one of my previous videos. I'll just give a brief synopsis. If you flip a coin, there's one good option, and then there are 2 total outcomes that can happen, and probability is the good options over the total outcome. So it'd be 1/2. And then it would be plus this over here. And that is equal to 1 minus 1/8 plus 1/8, which equals 1 minus 1/4, which gives us a final answer of 3/4. Thank you much for watching, and goodbye.